Hey guys, how are you? It's good to be with you this morning. Everybody's dressed, ready to go, teeth brushed. You're getting that routine going. It's best if you can kind of keep a routine. Getting up, getting ready, going to school. It just kind of helps your mind be in the right place, I think. Are you doing okay? Good. We're going to read Winn Dixie. So when we last left off with Winn Dixie, if you remember, she had gone to Gloria Dump's. Remember, Gloria is one of her new friends, and Gloria has trouble seeing. She can't see very well at all. She can see like shapes and stuff like that, but she cannot see well. And Opal was telling Gloria all about her mama. And she said Gloria just listened with all her heart. And that made Opal feel so good because somebody was actually listening to her. Even though her daddy is a preacher, and that's part of his job is to listen to people, to help people with their problems, Opal doesn't feel like she can talk to him about this because it's a little bit too close to his heart too, and makes him sad. She worries. So she is very happy to have Gloria to talk to. It just felt really good for her to be able to tell her all about her mama. And she said, Gloria, just listen, listen, listen. So she really has found a very dear friend in Gloria Dump. All right, so today we're going to read chapter 11. We have a few vocab words up here. I hope you can see these okay. Sorry, I'm in my dining room again. I don't know about the lighting, but we'll talk about them as we read them. But we've got terrorize, which if you're terrorized, you're threatened by something. It's a scary thing, being terrorized. If you're really like scaring somebody to death if they're terrorized. Whining, I bet some of you know firsthand what that word means, whining. Whining. Barreling. In this chapter, they're going to talk about when Dixie is barreling through the trailer. Means he is running like lightning. He is running super fast. And then the last word is pathological. Pathological means something that's kind of excessive. Okay, like you may have heard of somebody being a pathological liar. It means that they lie all the time and can't seem to stop. Okay. So it's just a problem somebody has that they can't seem to stop with it. Okay, we'll talk about that more when we get through in chapter 11. Okay, so get cozy. Go ahead and open to chapter 11. It's page 72. Where are we going? Okay, so in chapter 11, they are in the trailer. Not a lot of this story takes place in the trailer, but remember the trailer park is where Opal and the preacher live together. It's an all-adult trailer park community, meaning Opal really isn't supposed to be living there, but they made an exception because her daddy's a preacher, and they figured she was probably a pretty good kid, so they let it go. Now, Winn Dixie just can be there, but they just can't have a dog that barks all the time and runs around all crazy in the trailer park or anything. It would have to be a kind of a calm dog. So they try to keep Winn Dixie fairly calm in the trailer park. Okay? All right, chapter 11, page 72. Follow your words with me, okay? That night there was a real bad thunderstorm. But what woke me up wasn't the thunder and lightning. It was Winn Dixie whining and butting his head against my bedroom door. Winn Dixie, I said, what are you doing? He didn't pay any attention to me. He just kept beating his head against the door and whining and whimpering. And when I got out of bed and went over and put my hand on his head, he was shaking and trembling so hard that it scared me. I knelt down and I wrapped my arms around him, but he didn't turn and look at me or smile or sneeze or wag his tail or do any normal kind of Winn Dixie thing. He just kept beating his head against the door and crying and shaking. You want the door open? I said, huh? Is that what you want? I stood up and opened the door and Winn Dixie flew through it, like something big and ugly and mean was chasing him. "Winn Dixie," I hissed, "come back here." I didn't want him going and waking the preacher up. But it was too late. Winn Dixie was already at the other end of the trailer in the preacher's room. I could tell because there was a spring sound that must have come from Winn Dixie jumping up on the bed, and then there was a sound from the preacher like he was real surprised. But none of it lasted long, because Winn Dixie came tearing back out of the preacher's room, panting and running like crazy. I tried to grab him, but he was just going too fast. "Opal," said the preacher. He was standing at the door to his bedroom, and his hair was all kind of wild on top of his head, and he was looking around like he wasn't sure where he was. "Opal, what is going on?" Now remember, he was awakened out of a deep sleep. "I don't know," I told him, but just then there was a huge crack of thunder, one so loud that it shook the whole trailer, and Winn Dixie came shooting back out of my room and went running right past me, and I screamed, "Daddy, watch out!" But the preacher was still confused. He just stood there, and Winn Dixie came barreling right toward him like he was a bowling ball, and the preacher was the only pin left standing, and wham! They both fell to the ground. "Uh-oh," I said. "Opal," said the preacher. He was lying on his stomach, and Winn Dixie was sitting on top of him, panting and whining. Now, are you picturing that? So the preacher's on the ground, Winn Dixie's sitting on top of him. Now, what do you think the preacher's thinking? Be making your predictions. What is he thinking? He's just been awakened out of a deep sleep to a crazy dog that has just knocked him on the ground. I don't think that's looking too good for Winn Dixie, do you? "Yes, sir," I said. "Opal," the preacher said again. "Yes, sir," I said louder. "Do you know what a pathological fear is?" Remember our vocab word, pathological? "No, sir," I told him. The preacher raised a hand. He rubbed his nose. "Well," he said after a minute, "it's a fear that goes way beyond normal fears. It's a fear you can't be talked out of or reasoned out of." Just then there was another crack of thunder, and Winn Dixie rose straight up in the air like somebody had poked him with something hot. When he hit the floor, he started running. He ran back to my bedroom. I didn't even try to catch him. I just got out of his way. The preacher lay there on the ground rubbing his nose. Finally, he sat up and he said, "Opal, I believe Winn Dixie has a pathological fear of thunderstorms." And just when he finished his sentence, here came Winn Dixie again, running to save his life. I got the preacher up off the floor and out of the way just in time. There didn't seem to be a thing we could do for Winn Dixie to make him feel better, so we just sat there and watched him run back and forth, all terrorized and panting. And every time there was another crack of thunder, Winn Dixie acted all over again like it was surely the end of the world. "The storm won't last long," the preacher told me. "And when it's over, the real Winn Dixie will come back." Now, some of you may have animals at home that get really scared during a thunderstorm. Some animals are super affected by the loud noise, or I don't know if it's the trembling that they feel with thunder, but some animals do get very, very terrorized. They have thunder coats you can put on your dogs. And Winn Dixie has this fear. He is scared to death of thunderstorms. Some of you may even have a fear of something that you're very scared of that just kind of makes your heart start racing. And I know, like for me, Ferris wheels, I do not like Ferris wheels. I freaked out that like the seat is going to flip over backwards and I'm going to fly out of the Ferris wheel. So I remember going on one when my kids were little because I wanted to show them that I wasn't scared. I was so scared. But some of you might have a fear of something like that too. Everybody has their fears. After a while, the storm did end. The rain stopped and there wasn't any more lightning, and finally the last rumble of thunder went away, and Winn Dixie quit running back and forth and came over to where me and the preacher were sitting, and he cocked his head like he was saying, "What in the world are you two doing out of bed in the middle of the night?" And then he crept up on the couch. Now, okay, make a picture of this, okay? And then he crept up on the couch with us in this funny way he has, where he gets on the couch an inch at a time, kind of sliding himself onto it, looking off in a different direction, like it's all happening by accident, like he doesn't intend to get on the couch, but all of a sudden, whoop, there he is. And so the three of us just sat there. I rubbed Winn Dixie's head and scratched him behind the ears the way he liked it, and the preacher said, "There are an awful lot of thunderstorms in Florida in the summertime." Uh-oh, what do you think he's going to say? "Yes, sir," I said. I was afraid that maybe he would say we wouldn't keep a dog who went crazy with the pathological fear every time there was a crack of thunder. "We'll have to keep an eye on him," the preacher said. He put his arm around Winn Dixie. "We'll have to make sure he doesn't get out during a storm. He might run away. We have to make sure we keep him safe." "Yes, sir," I said again. All of a sudden, it was hard for me to talk. I loved the preacher so much. I loved him because he loved Winn Dixie. I loved him because he was going to forgive Winn Dixie for being afraid. But most of all, I loved him for putting his arm around Winn Dixie like that, like he was already trying to keep him safe. So clearly, the preacher loves Winn Dixie, because Opal was afraid he was going to say, "You know, we have a lot of thunderstorms in Florida in the summer, so sorry, Winn Dixie's got to go." But that's not what he said. He said, "We have a lot of thunderstorms in Florida in the summer. We're going to have to keep our eye on Winn Dixie," because he didn't want anything to happen to him. He loves Winn Dixie too. And we could tell that because of the way he smiles at him, and it just makes him happy. Winn Dixie's wiggled his way into their hearts, hasn't he? Okay, so with chapter 11, just to recap, there was a horrible storm. Clearly, Winn Dixie, it has a pathological fear of storms, or really not just afraid of storms, but he is like crazy afraid of storms, and went crazy in the trailer. But we come to find out that Winn Dixie and the preacher are going to try to deal with it and help Winn Dixie as best they can. That's just one of his, everybody has their little things, and this happens to be one of Winn Dixie's things. So you're going to do your chapter summary. I did not make a sheet. I think you understand now what to do. Let me just say, make sure you're taking your time on your summaries, okay? Some of you have been turning them in, which is fine. I told you you could either turn them in as you finish them, or you could keep them until the end of the unit, and I could collect them all at one time. I'm not sure, again, how things are going to play out, like if we're going to be able to have another drop-off day or not. I don't know. But I want you to take your time on them. Some of you have done a beautiful job. I can tell your writing, you've taken time to make your writing look as neat as it can be. Your pictures look great. Some of you have even colored the pictures, which looks fabulous. Others of you, I think, are just trying to skate by. Act like I'm standing over your shoulder when you're doing it. Okay, what would I be saying to you? Did you form your letters correctly? Is there space between your words? Is that the best drawing you can do? And I know everybody's not an artist, but I want it to be the best you can do. And then make sure you keep those summaries someplace safe. Because again, I'm not sure how the end of the year is going to go, but I want you to have those to refer back to for whatever we're going to be doing with this at the end of the year, okay? All right? Okay, I'll see you again for chapter 12. Have fun. You can read ahead if you want to, but mum's the word. Don't tell anybody what happens. I know some of you have read ahead, and that's fine. I like that you like it so much that you want to. That's great. But always follow with me, okay? All right, y'all have a fabulous day. Be so sweet to Mom and Dad and brothers and sisters. Bye.